no rules. Do a lower score. There's one rule.
Welcome back to the putting lab at Franklin Bridge.
I'm so glad we have this.
Oh, me too. We've just been like flip-flopping around. I mean, when we first started the podcast, this kind of goes to our topic that we're talking about.
Yep.
But when you and I met, we did our first podcast on the back porch of Franklin Bridge.
Because it was during COVID years, so everybody could stay outside.
Exactly. And man, we've been the back porch of Franklin Bridge. We've been in the pub. We've been in our new studio. We're now in the putting lab.
And one day we're going to be in the new studio.
One day we'll be in the new studio. Oh, remember, we also did that one, a couple episodes in the pro shop, too. I think we've podcasted everywhere.
I know. We just haven't gone into the bathrooms. We've been in the pub. We've been on the back porch. We've been in the pro shop. We've been in the studio. In here, like,
we should have Adam run extension cords out to every tee box, and we'll podcast on every hole.
Just bring a generator and just run one.
That's perfect.
But no, I mean, this has been good. This series fits our theme for this year, and we want to take people on a journey in our golf instruction. Like, that's really important. Like, we want to be guides. We love guiding people and leading them to the places they want to go. Speaking truth to them, like the challenges of those things, and encouraging and all that. But like,
and golf's hard.
Dude,
golf's
is difficult.
really hard, and so I think we're trying to
That's
also
what makes it fun.
No, that's exactly what makes it fun. But I mean, for you guys that are out here on your own journeys, right? Yeah. You're going to get better over time, right, if you stick with it, right? So we were trying to sit here and be like, what's something new that we could do? And I want to preface this by saying we're going to have a lot of backstory to this.
Yeah, so hang with us on the backstory.
Hang with us on the backstory here, because we're going to talk about how we have essentially done the test run of this.
Right. You've been the test dummy.
We've essentially done the test run of this. So we kind of know what we're talking about. We know what's going to help.
I've got a lady I'm taking through this journey right now, which is really cool. Similar age and stage as you, and we're going to have some fun with it.
That's awesome. I think the one piece of value that, let me just go ahead and release what we're doing here. So we're going to be doing a breaking series where we're going to talk you through breaking 90, breaking 80, and then our last episode will be breaking 70, right?
And regardless of where you're at, whether you're the person who's like, I've already broken 80 and 90, I'm trying to break 70, don't ignore these podcasts, because there's going to be value in them. And just the same for the person who, I'm still trying to break 100. You're going to get value out of breaking 90. And if you haven't broken, I'll never break 70, there's still value you're going to be able to get and learn. So don't just tune out just because we don't have that segment. So
100%.
Jump in and figure out what the differences are as you move down to try to score lower.
And I think the first thing to kick off this whole series is if you're just starting golf for the first time, it's really hard to imagine yourself breaking 70. Or let's just say even breaking 80, right? From like your first moment you step on a golf course. So when you guys are listening to this, I want you guys to think about what do you love about the game? We talked about intentions and why we like to play the game on the last couple podcasts.
Yep.
And if being really good and playing this game at a level that you can beat your buddies at, or beat the course that you're playing at, if that's really important for you, then these are the podcasts for you.
Right.
But make sure that you're getting into this with the intention of, man, I really want to be as best as I can. Because if you don't, and if you're out there just to have fun on the weekends, you'll probably end up burning out listening to these episodes and implementing them as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And part of the fun of the game is trying to get better. Part of the fun of any game, right, is like, you first learn a new card game. You're like, well, that sucked the first time I did it. But like, let me try it again, right? Like, that's part of the excitement of learning anything, is getting better at it. And getting to watch my young kids do that is really cool. So to give you all some backstory here, so Jack and I got connected in 2020. We had I had a podcast called the Champions Playbook Podcast at the time, because it was named after my first book on core strategy. So if you want that, check that out on Amazon, the Champions Playbook. So there was that. Then so I had roughly 60 episodes done at the time. And then I started my career here going in my 11th year in April of 2020. So we were going to do a big to-do, like a big party, like welcome our new director of instruction, like it's going to be great. But then COVID hit. So I decided to do 15-minute evals to start, and I did 250 of those in the first
couple weeks.
It was like 2 or 3 weeks. So Erica was here interning at the time. Now she's working full time. She was just like taking videos. We put the videos and uploaded them, sent them to students. We were in the dozens a day a couple of times. So anywho, with that context and with that understanding, the goal for me was to revive the podcast a little bit, and I was looking for a podcast co-host. So we tried a couple different ones and brought some different people on and had some fun with it. And Jack and I got connected through one of those 15-minute evals, and you ended up booking lessons. I ended up refunding you the money. I was like, nah, man, we're just gonna do this. We're
gonna be friends from now on.
Yeah, we're gonna just be friends, and I'm gonna help you with your game. And you had never played golf before, other than maybe going to a driving range here or there.
I had before, not to a huge degree.
Yeah,
so
you wouldn't call yourself a golfer.
No, my background was in baseball. So my late grandfather was a massive golfer. Had been a member at his country club his entire life, and I got to go out there and slap it around, and I really appreciated the game. I just everything was a hard slice. So
dude, you're like, this is miserable.
Yeah, I loved hitting the occasional long bomb and playing putt every now
pure
and then.
luck.
But it was a game where I was like, I'm not going to be able to master this. That's for sure.
No. So we got started, and I think history is important, so you know where the podcast came in, especially when you're brand new, right? It's like, how do we get here? And we're over 250 episodes. This will be 253 or something like that.
Over 40,000 listens.
So we've done, you and I have done almost 200 together.
Yeah,
we're approaching that.
Coming up on it.
And 4 years.
2020.
Yeah, gosh, dude, it's been a lot. And so I looked at Jack. I was like, the fastest the goal was to break 80 in 12 months.
Yeah, you were trying to be. I was trying
to do basically the impossible, which would be to break 80 in.
Was I
never
your fastest at that point?
Yeah, so my fastest to date had been 18 months from having never played to being able to break 80. And the goal was 12 months. And we had some fun on the podcast. Jack's got 2 months left. Is he going to do it? He shot 84. He shot 82. Shot 90 again. Having fun with that. And then it took us just a little. We just missed the 12-month mark. I think it was just inside of 15 months. So just over a year, we were able to break 80 from having never played. So obviously young, athletic, had played sports. Baseball didn't really truly kill your golf swing. You just had to understand the differences between the two. And so part of that understanding of giving you this backstory is so that you understand when we start talking about Jack's experiences and he starts sharing his experiences and we dialogue about what it takes to break 90 and 80 and 70, he's speaking from a place of he knows what it's like to be in your shoes, and he's in his current shoes of now it's not breaking 80, it's how do I break 75? That's the next mark, because it gets harder. And so I don't know, anything you want to add to that? I think that's pretty much the backstory. But
yeah, it's the backstory. I guess taking you guys through a little bit of my psyche while I was doing this is 2020 was a rough year on everybody, right?
Yeah.
I had just graduated college. I had been previously a bullpen catcher for UT for a little bit, and that was fun. But I decided to hang it up and be a real college kid after a bit. That was fun. But when COVID hit, I needed to be competitive at something again. That was just what I needed at that time. I needed to be competitive. I needed to be pushing myself. That was a time where it was really easy to just lay back on your couch, watch Netflix, do whatever you wanted to do, right? So I needed something to be, outdoors. I needed something to be competitive again. And I think what's different from me versus the average COVID golfer, if you will, is I really started that 2020 with some intentionality, being I want to be good at this game. I want to be good at it, and I want to be one of the people who can actually enjoy the game for what it is. So that was really important with me, and I'll say that headspace, that attitude stuck with me throughout my entire breaking 80 story, if you will.
Yeah, no, I think it was huge. I remember some of your highs and your lows, just navigating a new job and just out of college and trying to like sort your way through things and like be, you're a super high relational person, like, and COVID pushing you away from that, and like golf was a nice space for you to be able to detox, to learn, to grow, to challenge yourself. And
That's exactly
this became
right.
a really good friendship for both of us. And like, it's why we haven't charged anything for the podcast. It's why we're starting to play with the pod. Like, if you're first time listener to this, we'll have some stuff at the end of this podcast sharing what play with the pod really is, so that you can come and join us and have some fun events together. And we're trying to grow our viewership, trying to grow our impact, and we think we have a message that connects with viewers, and I think our viewers would say that when we're approaching 50,000 listens at this point. So
dude, it's just nuts, like all the value that we've provided on a bunch of like completely different topics over the past 4 years. And now this is the first time where we've really been sitting down and talking about, okay, what we've talked about in the past influence you in this specific journey of breaking 90, 80 and 70, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the last thing that I want to add before we really dive into the details is, for me, golf was a great way to work on my mindset as well. Mm-hmm. And I think if somebody can really approach the game and be like, this is going to be a really hard thing that I'm about to do, but I think you're going to see and you're going to reap the benefits of a lot of these things that we're talking about that are specific to golf, but in other areas of your life that you didn't know would actually be there. Right. So I think that's a really cool thing that you guys.
Yeah, it was really neat. We had a gentleman text me. He's like, hey, I know I haven't come for lessons in a while. I keep meaning to, but I just started out on my own in his career, whatever he was doing, started his own business. And he said, I just want you to know all the times that you've said on the podcast and you've said in your lessons, like, you can do hard things. He said, I'm reminding myself of that every single day. And so, like, I just want to let you know, like, thank you for that, right? It goes beyond the game of golf. Him working hard through cracking the code 3.0 and continuing with lessons this last year was a part of him developing the mindset and the strength and the courage to go, I think I can go out on my own and do this. Like, and sure enough, he is. So it's a really cool text to get. He didn't have to send it, but it helps kind of, like, those things tend to show up just at the right time, and to go, like, I needed that. Like, all right, like, I was getting kind of pessimistic and cynical, and I'm like, no, what we're doing matters, like, we can do this.
Yeah,
so,
I love that.
So breaking 90, right? Like, I don't know how to jump in, just other than to jump in. Like,
this is like, you're out there, you played on a few weekends with your buddies. You're like, man, this golf thing's pretty cool. You started playing for a few months. You're slapping it around. Maybe you shoot 97 one day somehow.
Right.
This is like, okay, I've got the bug. I've broken the centennial mark. Let's see if we can, I've got the bug. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And again, as we start the breaking 90, a lot of this applies to breaking 100 too. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit you with the first tangible tip. To me, is just like, as we started this, kind of, we free ball a lot of these things, like, all right, this sounds like a great idea, let's go. So the one that just keeps spitting in my head as we're talking is, fundamentally, do not hit a club you aren't certain you can hit well. How do I say that? Certain you can't hit well at least more than, I would say, 65 to 70% of the time. I want to say 75% of the time, but I understand some people in that bracket can't hit that. But that might, because it might reduce your set down to 4 clubs.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, you got your putters one and then maybe 4 others. So, like, wait, you mean I only hit those clubs? Like,
yes.
I do.
That is what I mean.
That is exactly what we mean. And so it's breaking 90 is really all about, how do I control what it is I can control? I know I can hit this club, this club, this club, and this club. And for some of you, it's like, well, what if it's only 2 clubs? You'd be amazed at what you could do with 2 clubs that you know where they're going, you're confident in hitting, and, like, that's really it. You know where they're going, you're confident in hitting. Like, gosh, and you can hit them.
I forget where I saw this, but it was a golfer on the DP World Tour, and it was they were playing the DP World Tours, like, it's like the equivalent of the club championship, or for them, right? It's like their final round, right? He shot 2 over with just a 6-iron.
Right.
And he hit every single tee shot, every single approach shot, every single putt with a 6-iron and shot 2 over.
Playing from the distances that they play from.
Correct. So if you think that you can't, you're like, well, I need the other clubs in my bag. You really don't. Choose the ones you hit straight. That's what I was going to say.
Not to break 90 and not to break 100. You really don't need all the extra clubs. Now, people by their nature, they come to lessons. I had a guy today that's just broke 90 recently for the first time. And he figured out, I can't hit my driver well, so hit my 3-wood. All right. So people kind of start to do this a little bit. Off the tee is generally where we see it. But they tend to not do it in the rest of their game. They might avoid a long iron or something like that, but they don't avoid a 7 and a 6 iron. They don't avoid a sand wedge. There are places that people will kind of do this, but I don't need you to do it in part. You need to do it in its entirety, in its whole. Cracking the code this winter, we talked about one of the frustrating things. We literally teaching you all to just chip with a pitching wedge. It's all we've taught you to chip with is a pitching wedge.
Yeah, I think that how I would add into that is when you're watching golf on TV, you will take where that PGA Tour player's at, and then they say, well, what club in my bag best lines up to where I'm at on the golf course right now? I would say that when you're breaking 100, when you're breaking 90, you don't need to be focused on what shot the golf course sets up for you, but
I like the way you're saying this.
Rather than what can I hit to get it as close to the hole as I can in the straightest line.
That's the tour it's 175. That's my X club. That's the club I hit. But what you're saying is that's the way the tour views it. But if you're trying to break 100, break 90, you really should view it through the lens of what can I hit well from here straight.
I've got a buddy.
That's it.
Yes. Period.
If that means it goes from 175, if that means it goes 80 yards, you go 80 yards, 80 yards. That's it.
Hook, line, and sinker. That's literally it.
Okay.
And if you
that makes sense. I love that. That's fantastic.
Put that together over the course of an entire round, you might not shoot 72, but you're not going to shoot 99. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, no, you won't. You really won't. That's fundamental to the movement. You do not hit clubs you can't hit. Think about, we see this in other sports, right? You see the underdog team beat the substantially better team that if they played it 30 times against each other, the underdog team might only win the one time. And fundamentally, they figure out how to play the game that they know how to play. That's it. That's all we know how to do. Hey, you know what? We're not going to be able to defend their entire offense, but we can stop these two guys. If we can stop these two guys, that's our best chance of winning. And if the other team isn't set up ready for it, then there's a chance that underdog team can be in the game long enough to get a little bit of hope. And next thing you know, there you are.
That's exactly right. And another caveat that I'm going to add to just hit the ball straight is that you have to accept when you're trying to break 100 and trying to break 90, you are not going to play the same game of golf that somebody who's scratch is playing. You're not playing the same game. Or who
breaks 80.
You're not playing the same game in the same zip code in the same country. Okay? And that's okay. And you might actually beat that person who's playing a game that's closer to golf, right?
Yeah.
But there's only one rule, Scott. What is it?
Shoot a lower score.
Right.
Well, I had that combo today. I told this guy, I want you to play flat-footed. He's like, but don't my hips need to rotate? I was like, yes and no. Yes, in the long term, yes, they're actually rotating more than you think they are. And no, in the sense of the only thing that matters is where that ball goes. So if you look like a weirdo and you get comments from 50 people that you should do this, you should do that, looks weird, you're not moving your foot, you're not even finishing your golf swing, you need to finish your golf swing. But if you have control over the golf ball, which is what we got a ton of control out of that thing, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So
we got a technical thing there. Let me bring up a mental.
So we have the shot selection one.
Correct.
Which is hit clubs that you cannot hit.
And I'll give you a caveat, guys, who are listening to this.
It might be 4 or 5 clubs.
It might be 4 or 5 clubs, and I'll give you a caveat. If you guys want to hit the other clubs in your bag, go and do it on the driving range. Go learn how to hit those clubs on the driving range.
That's great.
And if you're going to use a Scott rule in here, try not to overwhelm everybody with information, but a Scott drill that is really helpful when you're trying to break 100 and break 90 is never hit the same club more than 10 times.
Yeah, change clubs.
In a row.
Change clubs.
Change clubs. As if not within 10 shots, within 5.
And if you think, no, you're dead on. Let me add one quick thing.
Yeah.
This will be fast. On the choosing clubs. So
yes.
In CTC 3.0, I told a guy, I was like, hey, I want you to cut your set of clubs in half. You could decide. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you which ones to take out, but you got to take out half the set. He's like, but I need this in this situation, that situation. I was like, I don't care, Mike. Like, just take them out. Just, you figure out. I got a text like 3 days later. I shot my personal best by, I don't remember how many shots. It was 5 or 6 shots. It was a lot. It wasn't just like I barely broke it. I shattered it. We did a 5 club challenge down in Birmingham with 25 people. We played 9 holes. It's a 5 club tournament. One was a putter, the 4 were of your choice. I think it was 11 of the 25. It was more than 10 of the 25 shot their personal best with 5 clubs in the bag. Like, they hit clubs they knew how to hit. They're more intentional. And so this is kind of leading to one of the things I'll bring up later is where are you going to place the golf ball? But we'll get to that. You have something you want to
I do have something I want to say because I think this is integral, and I think, honestly, we made a mistake by not making this number 1. So that's a great technical
That's my
thing.
number 1.
Yes, no, that's a great technical thing. If you can hit it straight, that's perfect from a playing standpoint, right? This one's going to be from the mental side. So maybe that's number 1 on the playing side. This is number 1 on the mental side.
Okay.
You're there for yourself. You're there for yourself, and you're there to get better, right? There's going to be so many people who are going to be playing with you on the golf course, right? You need to try your best just to focus on yourself and not let anything else that anybody is there or that anybody tells you there, let that influence you.
Yeah, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's book 3.
Not only that, but if you're working on something and someone's trying to fix you or trying to give you advice one way or the other,
just kindly say thanks. My instructor and I are working on that. That's a really easy way of saying that.
But the reason why I bring this up is because if you're going to be good at golf, or if you're even going to break 80, you're going to need to be able to shut out the rest of your playing group when you are hitting. There's so many people who get into golf and are afraid to start or get better because they're so afraid of what other people think about them when they're playing. But at the end of the day, if you can get over that mental hurdle, number 1, you're mentally stronger than you were when you started. And number 2, now you are able to focus on your own game at every stage, 90, 80, 70, and be able to worry about you.
If you start that now, rather than waiting till you're further down the road, that'll just come natural later on.
Guess what? I still hit balls in the water. I still hit balls in the trees. Scott, I think you would say the exact same thing.
So
and I think Scotty Scheffler would agree in the past couple of weeks too, right?
They do.
So regardless of where you're at in your golf journey, you've got to be able to have some thick skin and just realize that, hey, we're all out here to have fun. We're all playing our own game. Let's just make sure that we're 1% better when we leave the course.
I love that. Where was I going to go with this next one? I want to do some sort of technique component to the breaking 90. I just lost my train of thought. I'm getting better at like listening to you to respond, and
then
I'm
you
like,
lose your thought.
I'm like, crap. What do I think about? But it's like. I know where I was going to go with this. So it's kind of technique. It's definitely going to be selly. So like, I'm going to sell you on something because I think you need it. Like, you need a guide. Is come take a lesson from one of our golf instructors and work to do the 1 up to 3 things, because you might have a setup thing, a backswing thing, and a finish thing. So it'd be 3, right? Like, no more than 3. Get really, really good at mastering that, and make sure you fully understand what is being asked of you for those positions and master that position. Get really good.
So what was
at one thing.
What was it from me, just to give some context?
For you was hit me a pull draw. Like that was the thing, and we did that through that right hand. Is master this one piece, and I kept you on that for a long time, several months, 6 months, maybe. Like almost half of the program, half of the time it took you to break 90 or break 80 for the first time was to chase that singular thing, get really good at one. Because here's the question that comes up, right? Is, well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what about this? Like, dude, you can't do all of it. I can't do all of it. Like, the people who get best the fastest pick a singular thing and chase that.
And talking about the pull draw thing, what is this also creating subconsciously at the same time? It's creating confidence in a shot shape that I can see.
Correct.
So if I know that every single one of my shots goes left, it might mean that it goes 75 to 100 yards left.
You had a couple that were big for a while. Right? That was okay.
And that's fine. But what does that mean? That means that if I'm standing up on a tee and I know I have to hit it left, I know I can do it.
Right.
And it creates confidence as well as sound technique.
You need to delete all of the other outside noise as a part of that. You need one voice. You need one cook in the kitchen. You need one leadership coach, right? You need one singular voice. Does it mean that that's the only way to learn? No. And do we have all of the answers that you'll ever need in the game of golf? Absolutely not. But you need to learn to put yourself in the position of a student, of a apprentice. Like, learn how to do this one thing really well. And that's the challenge I'm making on my young teachers right now. Elijah and Erica, they've only been teaching for a couple of years, right? Is like, why are they not moving along as fast as you would like them to? Because you keep moving to the next thing before they've mastered the first thing you give them. I know it feels like they're paying for another lesson. You should give them something new, but part of your job is to make sure that they're doing the first thing that you've given them to do. And if they can't do that, don't move on. And so, like, the challenge, even for them as teachers, is to get them to break that next level. This is why it's important to listen if you're in the 70s or 80s, is you have to pick a singular thing and chase it with all that you are and master that one piece. You will be amazed at how many other things come together. Listen to our last podcast about the one arm swing. Like, go back and listen to the previous one.
You don't put on the roof before you lay the foundation.
Right. Like, but everybody wants to, like, go ahead and they want to decorate the house. We don't even have the concrete poured.
So for the people who are listening to this who are trying to break 90, what is one? And I know that everybody's different. Everybody is vastly different.
I hate when you do this.
I know, but I'm trying
It challenges me.
It challenges you and gets you some more consistent things here for the majority of the population. What is one technique thing that you would tell most everyone that they need to work on if they're trying to break 90?
Hold your finish until the ball stops moving.
I love it.
I don't care how bad the shot is struck. Like, if you chunk it, like, get it there. One of my juniors has this big over-the-top slice. In his first lesson with me, it was a 1-hour lesson. The only thing I told him to do is hold your finish and keep your hands together. Now, the hands together is specific to him. But, like, stick your finish until the ball stops moving. I don't care if you top it, if you chunk it. That's hard. When you mishit it, it's going to be hard to do that. I don't care if you slice it off the planet. He shows up. I can show you before and after video. It's not even close to the same golf swing. All we did was focus on a singular item, and I said, I'm going to grade you on that item when you show up next time.
And what does that do?
It controls so many components. Like, if you can't hold your finish until the ball lands, you can't control your emotions. You can't control the speed of your swing. You can't control the technique of your swing. You can't control contact. But if you can stick your finish, you're swinging at a speed that you can control. For all the people like, oh, I can't slow down, right? That was my big rant on the last one. Yes, you can. Stick your finish. Like, you can swing as fast as you want as long as you hold your finish. Teach a lot of kids that. Hey, little Johnny, you can, like, do as fast as you want to go, but it better be wham, just like a gymnast. I want it that still. I'm watching people every day just falling down on the driving range, or they get up there and they pull it back down because they hit a bad one. Like, no, you need so many disciplines come out of that most basic exercise. It's wax on, wax off.
If you want somebody to watch on the tour who does this really, really, really stinking well and has some of the fastest club head speed on tour, it's Rory McIlroy. Every single time, watch him hit drives. He starts it, and it's so funny because if you blink, it's almost like you hit pause and then you hit pause again at the first and the last.
Yeah.
So you see him, he's still right before he starts to swing, obviously. And then if you it's almost like you hit pause again after he finishes his swing. If you can do that, if you can be Rory McIlroy, you can swing as hard as you can.
Yeah. You just totally balance. Most everybody's swinging harder than they can physically control. So learn the discipline of sticking that finish no matter how good or bad the shot is. That's going to solve more problems for you than anything else. But I'm hitting it terrible. I don't care. Stay right there. Stay right there. And then if you need more, which you will, come take a golf lesson. You've got Erica, you've got me, you've got Elijah. Like, come see one of us. We will fix it for you. Like, let us do that. That's what we're here for. It's like, well, it's expensive. It is expensive because we're going to simplify it. You can have things cheap, you can have things fast, and you can have things well done.
Pick two.
You can only get two of those. You can't get all three. So, like, pay the money, and you're going to get it fairly quick. Like, that's really what it's going to be. Like, pay the money, and then you're going to get it fairly quick. But it's going to take a little bit of work. And to that sense, it's not cheap. It's cheap because there's a little bit of time involved. It's not cheap because you've got to spend the money. Like, You can get 2 of the 3. Just come take a lesson. Like, let us fix it.
I've got a somewhat controversial one that I want you to elaborate on here. Talk to me a little bit about when you're in these various stages.
Curveball.
Talk to me about tee selection.
Like club off the tee?
No, excuse me. Tee selection. Like if you're rolling up to number 1, what tees do I play off of if I'm trying to break 90?
Okay, so you have to go a little bit back. Go back. We keep sending y'all back to the previous podcast. We don't always do this. It just happened to time out well. But we talk about these distances that you should play from. The average adult male should not play from the tips out here, even though the shortness of the golf course is fairly short. You should play up a set of tees. Ladies, for most ladies, the golf course is too long as it sits. So have a couple holes where you play it from the fairway. Like, that's fine. I'm not going to be like, imagine there were a tee box there. You should be playing from around 4,000 yards or a little less. So 3,800 to 4,100 for most ladies. So, like, take whatever normal tee box you play from. This will be the easier way since I don't know where everybody's at, and just move forward a set of tee boxes. So if you play from the tips right now at Franklin Bridge, move up a set. If you play from the second set of tees, move up a set. Like, if you're one back from the forwards, move up to the forwards.
And here's why I mention that is because I feel like a lot of people who maybe are struggling to break 90, in a lot of senses, your technique, even though it might not be the best, is good enough to break 90 as it stands.
From a
correct from the
correct yardage,
but also from where I was going with this would be more the mental component of things. You have to learn how to, and this is at 90,
36.
This is at 90, 80, and 70. Number 1, op 36, but number 2, if you're chasing your PR, I did it the other day, man. I played the first 9 holes 1 over par. 1 over. And then you saw it on my scorecard. I literally limped in and shot a 79 the other day.
Right.
That round, and I don't want to be that guy, but like that round could have easily been 72.
Right, it could have. But you had to learn how to bump your head a little bit to continue moving forward. And You're going to have that. You're going to have a good 9. People are like, oh, see, I'm so inconsistent. I have a good 9 and a bad 9. Like, newsflash, if you looked at a tour player's scorecard, they'll shoot 31, 37. Like, there's 6 shots different. Like, everybody does that. So stop with that kind of conversation. That's not helpful. So where are we at on our takeaways right now? We're play only clubs you can hit straight 70% or higher of the time, which reduces you pretty far. Then it's what was the next one you gave?
Next one would be start to be comfortable on the golf course. Start to be comfortable on the golf course, have high self-confidence, and just learn to be out there. Learn to be out there for you.
Yeah, don't play for anybody else. Play for yourself. And then we gave pick a singular, or stick your finish. You made me pick a technique piece.
Technique piece, stick your finish.
Stick your finish. And have one voice. Try to do one thing. I think it's pretty good. Those 4 things, I mean, it's pretty high. We're at 33 minutes? Like, you don't really need a 5th.
Yeah, let's end here because I think that's really good. But let's end here and talk about I want to know from my specific journey. Now, granted, it's going to kind of be hard to reach back in those archives of yours, Scott. But when I was kind of around that point in time, what were some takeaways that we were working on for me in order to get there? Because I think there is a big barrier whenever you approach the 10-digit mark, whether you're at 90, 80, 70, 60, wherever you're at in your golf journey, 100 even. I feel like there's a huge mental barrier around around that 10-point mark. And here's what I'm going to say about it.
Keep going.
We talked a lot about plateaus and increases in your golf game.
Yeah.
And I have now seen those across the 10-digit marks. Speak a little bit on those peaks and plateaus.
Well, I think one of the things is we set those even by the very nature of us doing this podcast.
Bingo, yeah.
We're setting the barrier, it's to break 90. What if for some reason the barrier was breaking 92, right. All of a sudden 92 would be the number to beat, right? So there's a certain sense in which don't just try to break 90. That was one of the things I was trying to get you to do was go even lower. And so one of the ways to do this is we tend to think of, where they say, how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You don't eat the whole elephant. And so we broke yours down into parts, right? It was get give me a good 9, or we broke it down even farther than that, 3 holes. Like, in 3 holes, I need you to be, so over 18 holes, you need to be, basically on a par 72 golf course, you've got to be 17 over on 18 holes. If you average most golf courses at 71, you basically got to be 18, you make a bogey a hole. So in order to break 90, think of it as being no more than 2 over par in a 3-hole stretch. You can do that. You got to make 1 par. So you can make 2 pars and a double, right? So, like, don't try to make birdies. Don't try to do those things. But it's like, all you have to do, this is why it's okay to, if you have to go 8 iron, 8 iron, 8 iron, that puts you up near the green. You chip it up and you 1-putt. Or you get it on the green in 3 shots and you 2-putt for bogey. You might make a putt, right? So, like, bogeys are okay. Bogeys are your friend.
Bogeys are great. And in fact, if you're trying to break 90, all you need is 1 par.
Mm-hmm.
You can bogey every single hole, and as long as you don't bogey one of them, you're right. 18 plus 70. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I remember. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, now that it's jogging my memory a little bit, we went through and designated easy holes versus hard holes. You remember this? We brought this up on a podcast.
We did, yeah.
Is breaking down easy holes versus hard holes. Like, on your hard holes, I'm okay if you make doubles on those. Like, man, I just can't get over the water on this hole and that hole. It's like, all right, those are going to be your double holes. That's okay. Where are your par holes at? Where are your easier holes? Okay, number 1's easy for some people. Number 2's easier for some people. 6. Like, these are my par holes. These are the holes I want to make sure I make par. So they're generally more open off the tee, so maybe I can hit my driver if I can't hit my driver in those other holes. Like, so instead of trying to kill the whole elephant, like, try to chop off little pieces along the way. So in a 3-hole stretch, maybe we just make it, like, I like saying +2 because you try to go lower than 90, right? So, I was +4 on that one. That whole, hey, that round's done. Hey, those 3 holes are over. I was 4 over on those. It's okay. You're probably going to be 1 over on another one, so it offsets. Like, it's fine. So, break it down in 3-hole segments, and next thing you know, by the time you get to the end of 18 holes, you'll be surprised. Like, man, okay. I didn't do well on these 2 3-hole stretches. I didn't break 90, but gosh, I had 4 of the 6-hole stretches were at the +2 or better. In fact, I had one that was a +1 and one that was 0. I shot even par on that one. So that helps you break it down. And
to your point as well, I think this would be just like a really simple point, is track your results. Your results.
Yeah, you have to.
And especially if you play the same golf course regularly as well, it's even better because you know exactly how you played it the last time. So I've got an album in my phone right now. It's called 2024 Scorecards, and
that's cool.
I take a picture of my scorecard after every single round, and I post it in 2024 Scorecards. And because of that, we've been able to establish some trends over my 2024 rounds where it's like, okay, hey, it seems like it's taking you a few holes to settle into your round. So holes 1, 2, and 3 can sometimes be a little shaky, but the back loop across the bridge is really clean for me because I'm playing my best golf. I'm not tired, but I'm warmed up. So now we can make some corrections based off of that. But if you're not keeping track of your results, you're not keeping track of your progress.
Right. And you won't know how to get past 90, right? So I forgot that what we did was we pulled out and designated easy holes, medium difficulty holes, and hard holes. And so once we were able to do that, it actually deflates some of the pressure. It was highlighted. I remember we had a highlighter on the whole scorecard. But I think that was probably about that journey you were talking about. We were like at 85, 86. It's like, dude, we're only 5 shots away.
Where can we save those 5?
Which is like 1 every 3 holes. Like, where are they? Where are the easiest ones to get? Like, all right, you doubled 3 of the easiest holes. Okay, what happened there? Like, those are the costly ones, right? So I have no problem if you make a double on 4. I have no problem even if you made a double on old number 9, like it was a par 5. I had no problem if you make a double on that hole, even though it's a par 5, because it's such a difficult hole at the time. So it's like we were breaking it down into component parts and going, where are the easy holes? Where are the hard holes? Hey, it's okay. Make double there. Just don't do that on the other holes, which it goes into the first thing which is still the big contention is for me, is hit only the clubs that you know you can hit. We didn't hit some long irons for a while. We avoided that. Mm-hmm. I think we even avoided the 3-wood at times. You had some snap hooks going with that. So we just kind of, we navigated a lot of these things. So I would tell you pick 2 of the 5 that we gave you. Don't try to do them all. Pick 2.
Exactly. I'll give one kind of last one that I don't think really needs to be in here per se, but it's something to think about, and then I'll give a little teaser for what I think needs to be in the breaking 80.
Ooh.
Or breaking 70. Or excuse me, 80. Yeah,
breaking 80
next. But the first thing is...
I'm not giving teasers.
The first thing is for... you shouldn't. Clubs. This is probably a point in the game too where, earlier in your golfing career, you're probably like, I don't need my own set of clubs, or I can just use dad's like 50-year-old clubs that are in the bag, whatever. I'll bring them out, we'll slap it around, have a good time, right? As you start to catch the bug, you're going to start to realize that the equipment that you're using is probably not sufficient for you. So mess around. If you want to go to Play It Again Sports, go try out some, go grab like a cheap hybrid that maybe you can take
just
to the golf course.
Come here
and Elijah will come
or
and take
Erica.
you out. You can rent some clubs here. You can go to Golf Galaxy, wherever you want to go and experience golf, find the best prices. Long story short, I've got a buddy who just put a hybrid in his bag. He's in the demographic that we're talking about right now, and his hybrid is one of those clubs that he can hit straight. So instead of hitting like 4 and 3 irons, which is like impossible for somebody who's
I'm
at that
still
level.
surprised when people still have those. It's
Right.
like, stop hitting them.
It's impossible at that level of golf.
I don't like hitting them.
Go out and find some hybrids. Go out and find something that goes far and straight. It doesn't even have to go far. Just has to go
You
straight.
go straight.
So,
and we can help you with that.
that's right.
Let us help direct you in that.
That's exactly right. My little teaser for next episode, which I think is a little ode, somebody who's in this demographic can start working on it, but it's also a teaser for people to come back for the next episode as well.
What is it?
It's
I'm really curious to hear what you're going to say.
I would just say that this is the time that we need to start, keyword start, worrying about speed control on the greens. Try and get it within a hula hoop distance.
It's basically 3 feet.
It doesn't have to go in. It can be 3 feet. It can even be 6 feet. But just start trying to put the ball in a small radius around the hole. It does not have to go in, guys. It doesn't have to go in. And key point, if you guys want to break 90, none of your putts have to go in the hole. You just have to get them up there close.
That's it.
So
I like that. That's good.
Start working
teaser.
on that feel, because that touch.
I'll give you.
And if you want to break if you want to break 80, you're going to need to start to develop that touch a little bit more.
Don't forget that, because that's going to be where I'm going to start next time on a specific way to practice that, so that you can start the process of breaking 80. It's really, really simple, and it's like, well, surely it's more complex than that. Like, nah, it'll work.
I mean, it's
promise me.
And I think this is something that I wanted to tease in this episode, because if you're trying to break 90 right now, like, it's not so different as going to the bar and like throwing darts at a huge board, right? Like, if you can just start cozying these balls up to the hole with the right speed, you will be shocked at how many strokes you'll drop off the putting green. It is nuts.
I agree.
You might even break 90 by doing that.
Shh, don't give them all the answers. We got to have them come back when we do this series again.
That's right.
But yeah, if you're a River Club member, like you've listened through this far, look at me promoting. Go like and subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Like, give us a 5-star rating. It helps us promote to other people. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can actually comment. If you're on YouTube, you can go in and comment on the actual pod. Like,
Stephen Cherry, I need you to start sending out the YouTube link to everybody in your office, man, or anybody else that you think might want to watch the YouTube, because I know he's a loyal YouTube watcher.
And Alonzo and Scott Spector, and there's several others of you that we know. Avery, Andrew Wiley, like, there's a bunch of you we know that listen to it on the regular.
Absolutely. So Steven's just our token YouTube watcher.
Oh, and he will tell everybody. That's the best part.
It's true.
So that's good.
He thanked me for that. Because I told him in the last episode, I was like, Steven, like, you're going to see me and you're going to thank me for that shout out. And I was pulling around one the other day when I was teeing off, and he's like, thanks for the shout out, man.
That's so good.
So Steven,
we've for those of you that are new, like, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. I'm Scott. I'm your director of instruction here at the Franklin Bridge Performance Institute, and the founder, owner of the Champions Playbook and Golf Decoded, and co-host, original host
Is this like your LinkedIn page or the end of a podcast?
I don't know, but maybe both. I'm not good at this yet. So this is usually your closing segment.
So
thanks for listening. Tune in for the last minute here where we'll add another little clip in about what the Play with the Pod is. We'd love for you to come and join us. I think we're changing up the location of the first one just to try to get more people here and make it something fun and come join the Bridge family. I think we're going to do it here at the Bridge.
We will be playing over in East Tennessee. So that is definitely...
Yeah, that's going to be our first away one for sure.
Something that's going to be happening. So you guys need to pay attention to that when it happens. And I think
small travel for a small fee.
That's right.
Help support the podcast.
Hopefully you guys will be able to break 90 soon with these tips. If you did, please comment on anywhere that you guys are at. Specifically Instagram though. Specifically Instagram. If you guys are breaking 90, I need a picture of your scorecard and I need you to tag FBPI Golf.
Yep.
I need you to do that so that we can take a look at it and just see what you guys did to break 90. So good luck out there. You guys are going to rock it. It's a long journey, but I promise you it's worthwhile. So from Scott and Jack here in the putting lab at Franklin Bridge.
Nice. Nailed it.
We'll see you on the next one. Peace.